If you're lacking work capacity, here's what I can guarantee you. Your muscle and strength results will not be optimal. In this video, I'll prove to you why. First thing I'll say is that former athletes of any type, no matter how unspecific it may be to weight training, when these individuals jump on novice programs, what do we see 9 out of 10 times? Faster progress, a higher starting point, easier recovery, being able to handle the workouts, even the highest volume listed right off the bat. Everything is easier. When average trainers look at this, the immediate thought that comes to their mind is, oh, that person must have good genetics. When in reality, there was already years of building a base going into this. Whereas if we take the opposite situation, a skinny fat man who's been playing video games his entire life. Now he's 20 years old, he has a horrific physique, no fitness whatsoever, can't even run for 5 minutes, and he's maybe benching close to the empty bar. You take that individual and you have him run a novice program, what do you think's gonna happen? It takes longer to hit the intermediate stage, you get more sore during your training, and it's harder to complete the workouts. This is absolute common sense. Like, for me to even explain this is interesting, but I gotta do it to highlight the major point of this video. If we know that this is indeed a fact, your starting point of fitness affects what you're gonna do in the gym, muscle building wise, then why would you not think that this doesn't affect you in the long term? Especially when you do hit the intermediate and advanced stage. Heck, if you get elite, according to EXRX charts, what do you think the limiting factor is going to be? Your work capacity. It's been the foundation all along. Something so obvious that's in your face, overlooked. That's why you need to focus more on GPP workouts. So the idea that cardio somehow kills your gains might actually be the opposite in this case if it indeed improves your work capacity, which it surely does. So the main message I'm sharing now is this: fitness is fitness, just like strength is strength. Yeah, we got sports-specific drills that'll make you better at that what you're trying to specialize in, but as a general rule, if you've been training for a few years, you should be able to walk in and do pretty good at other athletic activities, even if you didn't specialize. So, I'm not going to tell you that you should spend an entire year building your work capacity before going on a novice program. I already addressed that in my recent Q&A video. This is just to strike a point. Now I'm going to dive into more examples. What you'll find is that novice lifters can often get away with lower rest intervals when doing heavy compound movements. They're adding 5 pounds of workout. It's not too strenuous on the body. They tend to be okay. But as their numbers climb up, maybe they're benching the mid 2s now, instead of resting 2 minutes between their sets, they might be up to 3. Next thing you know, they're closing on that 315 mark, and now they're resting 4 to 5 minutes. Well, what happens if you're trying to get a 4 or 5 bench? 5 becomes the norm. And in some cases, it might climb up to 8. I've seen some powerlifters go even higher than that. But does that have to be the case in the first place? No. Sure, the research does indicate that longer rest intervals are better for hypertrophy because we get to replicate our performance set after set. It's not fatigue that's limiting us. We can go to muscular failure as intended. However, if you're resting excessively long in order to get to that point, does that mean that it was the rest intervals by themselves that allowed you to replicate that performance? Or was the fact that you weren't fit enough to handle slightly less rest? Because the truth is, after a certain point, you can't just say, oh, I need this amount of rest. You got to look at yourself and say, yeah, my work capacity is seriously lacking. If you're in the gym for over 2 hours doing a simple upper body workout, or heck, let's say you're doing a push-pull legs, and you're living in the gym, each session takes forever, that is a red flag. Because I'll be the first to tell you, yeah, rest longer for your heavy compounds, but it shouldn't be 8 minutes a set every single time. Yet this is exactly what we see online right now, which may sound like an over-exaggeration, but I'm telling you that it's not. Go to Sears Gym, look at some of the individuals who are putting up some great numbers. They're resting all kinds, bro. And it's because they lack work capacity. I bet these individuals would not be able to handle one Iron Wolf workout, even if it was the easier addition. So they mask their lack of work capacity by resting longer and longer. But what does that do to you mentally and physically? You're never correcting the root cause, and you're living in the gym. You're spending much more time in there than you need to. And the same even goes for the isolation movements. Imagine that. You can't tell me that's not mentally exhausting. In fact, some of these individuals can't even finish their workouts. Or if they do, the later part is half-assed. That's another key point I'm trying to stress. Why do you think so many advanced lifters can't handle full body workouts? Is it due to not adapting to the system anymore? Is it somehow only for beginners? Even though some of the old school champions lived off full body workouts exclusively? Is it that they're somehow ineffective when you get to a certain strength level? That you eventually have to deviate away from it and follow a split routine? No! You can hit your genetic limit, whatever that even means at this point, with full body training. But if you can't finish the workouts, you're not going to approach your limit at all. Or if you're half-assing the later part of it, what can you expect? Lagging muscle groups. Weaknesses affect your overall performance. You're only as strong as your weakest link. So when experienced lifters deviate away from full body training because it's too difficult, like, yeah, I'm going to admit it, it's hard. I'm doing upper lower right now. But that doesn't change the fact that you can still complete it if you were fit enough to handle it. And that is where work capacity comes into play. That's why some of the best strength coaches in the world have you doing GPP work 2 to 4 times a week. That's why Louis Simmons is so big on it. GPP workouts for powerlifters. Heck, that's one of the lessons we can learn from strongman competitors. If you're a powerlifter right now, do strongman conditioning drills. And I guarantee that you'll benefit so much more than if you just stick religiously to what you're doing right now. Conditioning makes the difference. For me, I like calisthenics. That is my preference. It's what I started off with. And I can tell you as well, in my case, I did track and field, swimming, and calisthenics before ever touching the weights. Guess what happened when I started doing squats, deadlifts, bench press, all the accessories? I was able to handle high volume workouts right off the bat. Work capacity was through the roof. It wasn't problematic in terms of completing the workouts and making great gains session by session. I don't think it was genetics whatsoever. I just had the base level of fitness. And we see this pattern over and over again with football players, basketball players, hockey players, everybody. It's not that they were gifted coming into this. They just spent years building up the foundation, which allowed them to excel at weights. It's that freaking simple, guys. So it's going to take some time for you too, but realize that once you have the elevated fitness, you can handle more. And that'll bring me on to my final point. If your work capacity is indeed lacking, you won't be able to handle as much within that session. That means less compound movements, less isolations, less volume. It's not optimal. You're forced to run a more minimalist routine by your own body's fault. Doesn't that suck? Not only do your workouts take much longer while leaving you completely exhausted, you can't do more even if you wanted to, because you will not be able to replicate the correct performance. That's why many lifters quit their system. It's too difficult. But you gotta ask why instead of just running away from it. Because if you have some top strength coaches recommending this and applying it to a general population, especially for those who aren't gifted, if they're able to do it, why aren't you? Don't tell me it's genetics. It's work capacity. That's why you can't do high reps on your squats. You're gassed out. It's why giant sets are so troublesome. By the third one, you're like, man, I can't do this. Let me leave the gym right now. So instead of completing it or actually adding in a fourth giant set, which might have been better for your current weaknesses, you had to stop short. So all I'm saying is this. If a program could have been better, you'll never be able to take advantage of that opportunity. And realize that many people are training in suboptimal fashion. You're always capable of more. And the missing link, I'm telling you right now, is work capacity. So focus on it. And every aspect of your physique goals will change from this point forward. That I can absolutely promise. So that's it. More content on the way regarding conditioning type workouts and different methods of raising your work capacity. So stay tuned for that. And of course, I want to hear from you guys now. What's your experience been when, say, you didn't have the best work capacity? Or you slowly built it up and now you're seeing what the effects are. I can't wait to see your stories, and I'll see you in the next video.